My mom and my uncle would used to tell me similar tales about back in the day when they were going through the southern forests of New Jersey, ever with their friends or family, about a creature that would come and ambush them out of nowhere if they weren't paying attention, or if they were traveling the lonely stretches of highway at night. These were based off stories their dad would tell them about the same ferocious beast that attacks those who enter its woodland domain. In all those stories, through generations, through word of mouth, through even different sightings, there's just one conclusion. A devil dwells within. Our story begins here in the continental United States of America. Here in the northeast region, bordered by the states of New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, lies the state of New Jersey. Despite its small size, New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the Union. New Jersey hosts large metropolitan areas in the north, coastlines in the south and the west, and the state's capital, Trenton, to the east. New Jersey's thriving economy relies on pharmaceuticals, biotech, tourism, and the most well-known of all, agriculture. The state's output of nursery stock, horses, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seafood, and dairy products have earned this state the nickname the Garden State. However, with the state's abundance of towns and farmlands, there is one area of land, in particular, that sticks out as an anomaly of sorts. Towards the state's southern end lies a unique ecosystem called the New Jersey Pine Barrens, or shortened to the Pine Barrens or Pinelands. One of only 3 Atlantic coastal pine barrens. The Pine Barrens gets its name due to the sandy, acidic, nutrient-poor soil that lines the forest floors that makes most attempts at farming impossible when compared to the state's more nutrient-rich soil. The trees here are also very short and uniform when compared to everywhere else in the state. This stretch of ecosystem covers about 22% of New Jersey's land area and is filled with forests, swamps, marshes, and cranberry bogs. The Pine Barrens host a variety of fauna and flora, including various pines, orchids, carnivorous plants, black bears, timber rattlesnakes, and Pine Barrens tree frogs. However, located within these ancient pine forests lies something more mysterious. A legendary beast that lives in secret in these rather secluded forests. The state's residents commonly refer to it as the Jersey Devil.
So I'm like, this is incredible. So I had to pull over to the same clearing, and when we pulled over, we all get out the car and we look out, and this is about, I don't know, maybe 100, 150 yards, maybe 200 yards, give or take. I look out, and what appeared to me looks like what I thought was maybe a horse or a cow, and I'm like, what is somebody's cow or horse got loose?
Yeah, it was standing like right out there towards the middle and was actually walking back towards the woods. And it did kind of look like a horse from the back, and you could see that it had like a tail behind it that like was low to the ground, and it was no explanation for it. There was I've never seen anything like it. It was definitely life-changing.
Also referred to as the Leeds Devil, this monster is one of the most infamous legends in New Jersey folklore. A creature that is so terrifying and monstrous that even its appearance is something out of a nightmare. An appearance so warped that it varies between accounts. One description that encompasses most eyewitness accounts say that the Jersey Devil is a flying biped with hooves. However, details vary wildly. The head and face is said to sometimes be described as looking as the head and face of a horse or a dog or a goat, the body and limbs of a horse or a kangaroo, the wings of either a bat or a bird. The tail is described in most accounts as either being forked, like a pitchfork, or triangular and sharp, like a blade or an arrowhead. The Jersey Devil is even said to wear horseshoes. However that works, demon magic I guess. Whatever the creature looks like, it has no doubt sent terror into the minds of those who encounter it, as it has been in these lands for over 300 years. The legend begins here in Smithton, a town located within Galloway Township in Atlantic County, New Jersey, about 12 miles from Atlantic City. This small town's main feature is the town center, which serves as a large tourist attraction filled with shops, restaurants, and various arcade games. While looking to their future in tourism, Smithville and its residents never seem to have forgotten about their past. As per legend, the Jersey Devil's birth began around here, all those years ago. The story begins sometime in 1735. In this period of New Jersey's history, the state was nothing more than one of 13 British-ruled colonies. Although agriculture was somewhat of a bust here in the southeast end of New Jersey, save for a few crops like cranberries and blueberries, the industries of pottery, glassmaking, and iron gained a stronghold here. And within this region where the Lenni Lenape Native Americans and European settlers lived. Amongst them was a family called Leeds. According to the story, within that family there was a woman by the name Jane Leeds, or Mother Leeds, as she's more commonly known. The story begins here when Mother Leeds was in for a shock, for when it was discovered that she would be giving birth to her 13th child, Mother Leeds became angered at the situation she was in. Given that she had already taken care of 12 of her children, had a drunken husband, and the whole family was impoverished, the soon-to-be mother of 13 shouted to the heavens, cursing, "Let this one be a devil." While shouting in the heat of the moment, her words of vexation and anger would not fall on deaf ears. Some months later, on a stormy night, Mrs. Leeds would give birth to her 13th child. The delivery went well, and the child was normal and healthy. However, the child took on a horrific metamorphosis, as it changed from an innocent child to a monstrous demon with leathery wings and a beastly face. When the monster's transformation was complete, the monster proceeded to attack its family, supposedly killing its mother, its father, the midwives, and some of its siblings viciously before escaping out the house's chimney, flying into the darkness of that stormy night. This was seemingly the birth of the Jersey Devil. Although events in the story vary, some say that the monster child only lashed out, but did not kill any of its family members, and simply fled out the chimney into the night. Some events say that the child was already deformed when it was birthed, and some events say that the child was normal for several years, only to gradually transform into its demonic state, fulfilling its curse and then escaping from the residence into the Pine Barrens. Though the events of 1735 are said to be the official origin of the Jersey Devil, other origins exist to account for the monster's existence. One story, for instance, says that the Jersey Devil was birthed by a different woman. In 1778, during the American Revolution, a woman from what is now Port Republic, New Jersey, supposedly ended up birthing the Jersey Devil as the result of a curse put on her by angry townsfolk due to her taking a fancy to a British soldier. This act of treason led to the monster's birth. However, the monster's existence is even said to predate the colonial era of America. The Lenni Lenape tribe had lived in this area of New Jersey and the mid-Atlantic region for thousands of years. The natives have told stories about dragons or monsters that have dwelled within those lands with them for all those centuries. Whatever the story, the devil has been or has become a permanent resident of the Pine Barrens. Its existence would become well known over the next couple of centuries. Side note, in reference to the lead story, the site of the monster's canon birth is wrapped in mystery. The supposed house to which the devil was born in does not have an explicit location, although the house of one of the siblings or relatives still exists today. It is not said to be the true house where the Leeds family once lived, in reference to the Jersey Devil. Where the house supposedly is, though, is now nothing more than a depression in the ground, where the house once stood, being reclaimed by the Barons themselves. While written encounters with the Jersey Devil were few and far between during the 18th century, tellings of the devil's antics, which included terrorizing locals and killing livestock, would force a religious leader to perform an exorcism to get rid of the demon around 1740. The exorcism would get rid of the demon for 100 years, but this attempt at purifying the pines may or may have not been so effective. The Jersey Devil's first recorded appearance seemingly came in October of 1790 by a woodsman named Vince Larner. While in the pines, he found a strange creature standing by a pond. It was rubbing its horns against a tree, waving its tail back and forth, and after a time, the monster screamed before flying away from the location. In terror during this encounter, he would later write of his experience in his diary, where he wrote that the creature was not a beast, not a man, nor a spirit, but a hellish brew of all three. By the 1800s, New Jersey was growing into a prosperous state. The population was rising, factories and mills were being built. Productions of silk, clay, iron, and textiles became more popular alongside the state's growing agricultural scene. With New Jersey's growth would also begin the growth of Jersey Devil sightings, making sightings more abundant than the century before. During this century, two of the most infamous sightings would come from some notable individuals. One of these encounters came from Captain Stephen Decatur, Jr., one of the most famous naval officers and commodores during the early 1800s. The captain had a run-in with the monster around 1819 while he was visiting the Hanover Mill Works to inspect cannonballs. While at a firing range, Stephen would see the Jersey Devil flying overhead, and either on purpose or by accident, a cannonball made contact with the flying beast. But the cannonball had no effect whatsoever, and the Jersey Devil merely flew away. Another encounter involving a famous individual came from Joseph Bonaparte. Joseph was the brother of Napoleon Bonaparte and was the former king of Spain. His encounter occurred while game hunting in Borderton, New Jersey. In 1825, while walking through a snowy forest with gun in tow, Joseph noticed unidentifiable tracks in the snow that seemed to just end abruptly, as if the creature flew off from where it last stood. The former king would later encounter the creature, but failed to shoot at the monster as it flew away into the skies. 1840 was the anniversary of when the exorcism was performed to cast the Jersey Devil away. This meant that whatever ritual was performed would no longer affect the monster, and this seems to have held true. The monster would once again terrorize the Pine Barrens, tormenting communities and attacking livestock. Some who encountered it tried to shoot it, but bullets had no effect whatsoever. The monster would continue to pop up sporadically for the remainder of the 1800s. Once the turn of the century would come around, the most famous set of sightings would occur. By the 1900s, New Jersey's population and industry would see a large explosion in growth. Alongside this growth at the turn of the century would also see a burst in Jersey Devil sightings, not just in the Pine Barrens, but outside its usual habitat. Alleged sightings of the Jersey Devil were seen as far north as the New York-New Jersey border and as far south as Delaware and Maryland. In 1905, a lighthouse keeper at the Absecon Lighthouse in Atlantic City, New Jersey, said that the monster would frequently visit the lighthouse, sometimes flying by, and in some instances, sitting on top of the lighthouse. However, these sightings were minuscule compared to the events that would take place 4 years later. In 1909, a rash of Jersey Devil sightings occurred for an entire week between January 16th and January 23rd. Hundreds of witnesses claimed that they saw the Jersey Devil during this time. Starting on the 16th, a patrolman and several other citizens of Bristol, Pennsylvania, reported seeing the Jersey Devil at different times of the night. The monster was seen flying across the Delaware River and made blood-curdling screams as it went. On the 17th, in the towns of Burlington, New Jersey and Bristol, Pennsylvania, people reported seeing mysterious tracks in the snow that were said to belong to the Jersey Devil, as experienced hunters themselves couldn't identify the tracks. On the 18th, the Jersey Devil apparently pilfered through people's garbage and probably ate some of it. The night of the 19th, residents of Gloucester, New Jersey and Camden, New Jersey reported seeing and hearing the monster. The day of the 20th, a search party was formed by people in Collingswood, New Jersey, in an attempt to find the beast themselves. Meanwhile, the monster was sighted by an individual at the Mount Carmel Cemetery in Morristown, New Jersey. The 21st would see a surprising amount of events related to the Jersey Devil. Farmers in the nearby areas reported having their chickens slaughtered by a mysterious assailant. Councilman E.P. Whedon, a local politician of Trenton, New Jersey, was awakened by the monster when the creature showed up at his doorstep, flapping its wings. More frightening, several trolley cars in the New Jersey towns of Hayden Heights, Clementon, New Brunswick, and others reported that the Jersey Devil was either attacking trolley cars or was sighted by trolley car passengers flying overhead. By the 22nd and the 23rd, more sightings of the monster took place before all the activity seemingly stopped. While the Jersey Devil was a much more obscure legend back during the 1700s and 1800s, the multitude of Jersey Devil sightings during this 1 week would see the monster's likeness posted on newspaper headlines everywhere, turning the once local creature into a national phenomenon. The tales of this creature's rampage would make for sensational stories. Tales of hunters going into the forest to try and kill the creature, while rumors of families keeping their kids at home away from school for fear that the Jersey Devil could strike at any moment added equal amounts of zest to the mayhem. In response to the sightings, the Philadelphia Zoo put out a $10,000 reward for the Jersey Devil. Despite these events bringing light to the monster's proposed existence to the national stage, this particular case would bring some unwanted attention to the subject at hand.
Where the Devil Dwells will continue after these messages.
I counted 10, 12, 14 lights.
Red objects.
Pretty quiet airplane. It was silent.
An unusual object.
Camera pretty steady right now. I don't know what it is. You're on full. You got to throw Hunter a look here.
UFO Hunters, Wednesday nights at 10 on History. People can't stop watching.
This thing weighed close to 400 pounds or more.
History's new hit series that uses science and technology in a search for history's most elusive monsters. We dare you to watch Monster Quest. Wednesdays at 9 on History.
Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents Messin' with Sasquatch.
Hey, buddy. Hey, shake.
Jack Link's Jerky. Feed your wild side.
These aren't just our guests. These are our neighbors. So we don't just make them appetizers, we make them Applebee's Ultimate Trios. Choose 3 of our most killer apps for one low price. Like tangy citrus teriyaki wings, crispy panko crusted dynamite shrimp, even our all Angus mini bacon cheeseburgers. Ultimate Trios. This grill and bar is raising the bar. Applebee's. It's a whole new neighborhood.
Every piece of land has its own unique story.
That's why we always have our cameras ready.
You wanted us, you got us.
Because you never know what's going to happen. Bring it on.
Now we return to where the devil dwells.
I'd like to drop the serious, pitch-changing narrator voice for a bit and transition the story from the fantastical to something more grounded. So the existence of the Jersey Devil, like most paranormal stories, is quite contested between individuals. From origin stories to encounters, it's heavily questioned how the Jersey Devil could exist, especially after 300 years, and thus has attracted both skeptics and historians to either explain the monster's existence, or just con men trying to artificially bring the monster to life for attention. So this part of the story is where I try to sound not nuts, and dedicate this section to slight myth busting. This is gonna be so cool. I doubt it. Oh man, this is so not cool. The whole Jersey Devil story, at least in the canon story, began with the Leeds family. While the Leeds do exist, the question of Jane Leeds existing is quite dubious. However, the one who did birth the Jersey Devil was perhaps Daniel Leeds. Born in 1652, Daniel Leeds was a man who found his reawakening in life to become a Quaker after receiving visions from God. After moving to Burlington, New Jersey with other Quaker refugees from England, Daniel decided that his thoughts and feelings should be shared with his peers, so he decided to start an almanac. Almanacs usually had information like weather forecasts, farmers' planting dates, tide tables, and other things, but almanacs also gave the writer free rein to write whatever they wanted. With that, Daniel embarked on writing the Leeds Almanac. All should have gone well, except for his use of astrological signs. The elders found the use of astrological symbols in the almanac to be heretical, and the order was made to have the remaining copies destroyed. This is pretty hypocritical, concerning the Quakers were considered heretics by the Puritans, and the reason for why the Quakers were called heretics varies. Anyway, when this and other writing endeavors were met with scorn, Daniel became sour from this experience, and spent the rest of his time supporting anti-Quakerism in the colonies, siding with the Loyalists, and started getting into political running matches with prominent figures. This would earn him the title of an agent of Satan by many publishers at the time, writing about Daniel, and this is where the Leeds devil name would have come from. The devil title carried over to his son Titan, who would become known for clashing with Key and Kite Man and other almanac writer Benjamin Franklin. The clashing had to do with whose almanac would become #1, and old Ben even decided to predict, using astrological data, to claim that Titan would die in 1733. He didn't, but that didn't stop Benny from just saying that Titan died, and that he wanders the earth as a ghost now. So yeah, the devils here seem to be more human than monster. And also ghosts. The Jersey Devil, whether it was real or not, the monster was used more as a tool by locals than by criminals as a means of keeping unwanted visitors out of the area. Starting with the years before the American Revolutionary War, the populace would use stories of the monster as a means of deterring loyalist soldiers away from traversing that area of wilderness. People who participated in illegal activities in the Pine Barrens would also use Jersey Devil stories as a means of keeping people away from the area. For a time, it was also a good way to keep the tax collectors away, because the only thing more scary than the IRS is a cryptid. Wait. Do you love monsters? A lot of people like monsters, and nobody knew this better than hucksters, carnival owners, and museum proprietors. Monsters were a huge hit for these types of people, as it was a good way to drum up interest and money. Everything from the Cardiff Giant to Harry and the Hendersons served as a way for both hucksters to make money off of unsuspecting citizens while indulging the public's interest in the paranormal. The 1900s became a popular time in particular for Jersey Devil hoaxes, especially in the wake of the 1909 rampage. The most infamous case took place at the 9th and Arch Street Dime Museum. While known for many oddities, the museum would debut the real Jersey Devil in 1909. While many came from Laos to see the monster, it soon became clear that the Jersey Devil at the museum was just a kangaroo that was painted and had wings glued to its back. While getting their money's worth, the kangaroo was eventually de-winged, washed, and sent back to its owner in Buffalo, and the museum closed down at a later date. I read that the presentation for it was really dramatic though. The most popular case made by skeptics for things like the Jersey Devil is merely nothing more than a misidentification. Unless it's a cop, they'll say you're drunk. Our senses can play tricks on us, and thus, that mysterious being you see eyeing you in the darkness is nothing more than a set of branches that conveniently look like the Jersey Devil. Because people who live in the Pine Barrens for years just happen to mistake an owl for a Jersey Devil? Anyway, so what are people seeing then? Well, the list goes something like this. The Jersey Devil is more likely to be a deer, a cow, an owl, a sandhill crane, a man in a costume, a hunter covered in dirt, misidentified animal and or animal noises, a horse, an African hammerhead bat, a dog, a kangaroo, your mother, car headlights, bicycle reflectors, reflective street signs, flashlights, pterodactyls, and a person wearing horseshoes for fun. Hysteria, mass hysteria, among other things. So yeah, that's what people are seeing instead of a giant winged horse dog monster. A crane. Okay, no more myth busting. The events of the 1909 incident would bring a lull to Jersey Devil sightings. Never again was the monster sighted by large groups in such a short span of time. After 1909, sightings remained plentiful, but few and far between. One of these incidents post-1909 took place near Salem, New Jersey, in the year 1927. A taxi cab driver was fixing a flat tire during the night. Once the spare tire was attached, the Jersey Devil landed on the taxi cab and began shaking it forcefully. In terror, the driver ran into his car and drove away, managing to get the creature off of it. The driver would later report his encounter with the Salem Police Department. In 1957, a forest fire broke out in the Pine Barrens. After the flames were quelled, the carcass of a mysterious animal was found. What remained of the burned body was some feathers and rear legs. Because the New Jersey Department of Conservation couldn't identify the body at first, many had thought the Jersey Devil had finally met its demise, burned by the very pines it lived in. However, in the years of 1959 and 1960, the monster seemingly made its presence known once more. In 1959, it was chased down by some hunters, and in 1960, its screams were heard by the residents of Mays Landing, New Jersey. These events showed the residents of New Jersey that it hasn't left, or has it? Looking back at the mysterious carcass, one might infer that the carcass was either from a known animal, and the Jersey Devil never truly died, or it raises the possibility that while maybe the creature died, more of the monsters exist within the Pine Barrens. Whatever the case, the legend of the Jersey Devil has yet to conclude. After the events of 1960, cases of people seeing and or hearing the Jersey Devil continue into the modern day. As cases remain strong, people still strongly believe more than ever that a devil dwells within the Pine Barrens. However, as many can be skeptical about the Jersey Devil and the cases associated with it, one may not have to look too far to find the Jersey Devil in real time. This is the NJ Devil. Despite his Mephistopheles-esque look, he shares the same chaotic energy that his cryptid counterpart has. He also apparently hates Philly. The NJ Devil is the mascot for the New Jersey Devils, one of the many NHL teams in the Eastern Conference. Originally the Kansas City Scouts of Kansas City, Missouri, and then the Colorado Rockies of Denver, Colorado. The team rebranded themselves as the Devils in 1982 as part of the Name That Team contest. Over 10,000 people voted during this contest. Located in Newark, New Jersey, the Devils wear bright red, black, and white jerseys and have a strong following with fans across the state. Now here's the Devil in amusement park ride form, dubbed the world's tallest, fastest, and longest single rail coaster. The Jersey Devil Coaster opened recently on June 13, 2021 at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson Township, New Jersey. The first car of the coaster is adorned with another Mephistopheles-esque face of the devil. The monster is also on the face of different merchandise pieces and is the subject of many books. The Jersey Devil is also the star of several television shows, video games.
Dog, you got a lot of nerve.
And movies.
So, who's looking forward to going fishing?
Seriously, Dad?
Who goes camping?
One of the better-known films, The Last Broadcast, is a found-footage horror film from 1998, which centers around an expedition to the Pine Barrens to film the Jersey Devil turned murder mystery. Bruce Springsteen, a singer born in Long Branch, New Jersey, wrote the song A Night with the Jersey Devil on Halloween of 2008 as a tribute to both the enigmatic monster and to the residents of South and Central New Jersey, who, like him, grew up on stories of the Jersey Devil. Whether the Jersey Devil is real or fictitious, the monster today still survives as either a monster of mystery or a creature of modern pop culture, appearing to many in either form as a legacy of New Jersey's folklore. The Jersey Devil still remains one of the most popular icons in New Jersey folklore. A monster so well known that it became the unofficial state cryptid of New Jersey, or state demon, depends on who you ask. The monster's stardom is so well known that residents of the state and people around the world still continue to tell stories of its existence, as I have told the story. Luckily, because the Jersey Devil remains such a mysterious entity, living in the vast wilderness of the Pines, stories will continue to grow in this area of the country. In 1978, Congress established the Pinelands National Reserve as the country's first national reserve. The approximately 1.1 million acres of coastal pine forest will be protected for years to come. So as these forests continue to survive, the devil and the stories about it will continue to dwell and live on for years and centuries to come. Thank you for listening.